distinguished guests, and dear friends, Tammy and I welcome you to the opening and dedication of the United States Embassy in Jerusalem, Israel.
Exactly 70 years ago, the United States, under President Harry Truman, became the first nation to recognize the State of Israel. Today, we officially opened the United States Embassy in Jerusalem. Congratulations. It's been a long time coming. Almost immediately after declaring statehood in 1948, Israel designated the city of Jerusalem as its capital. The capital the Jewish people established in ancient times. So important. Today, Jerusalem is the seat of Israel's government. It is the home of the Israeli legislature and the Israeli Supreme Court and Israel's prime minister and president. Israel is a sovereign nation with the right, like every other sovereign nation, to determine its own capital. Yet for many years we failed to acknowledge the obvious, the plain reality that Israel's capital is Jerusalem. On December 6, 2017, at my direction, the United States finally and officially recognized Jerusalem as the true capital of Israel. Today we follow through on this recognition and open our embassy in the historic and sacred land of Jerusalem. And we're opening it many, many years ahead of schedule. As I said in December, our greatest hope is for peace. The United States remains fully committed to facilitating a lasting peace agreement, and we continue to support the status quo at Jerusalem's holy sites, including at the Temple Mount, also known as Haram al-Sharif. This city and its entire nation is a testament to the unbreakable spirit of the Jewish people. The United States will always be a great friend of Israel and a partner in the cause of freedom and peace. We wish Ambassador Friedman good luck as he takes up his office in this beautiful Jerusalem embassy, and we extend a hand in friendship to Israel, the Palestinians, and to all of their neighbors. May there be peace. May God bless this embassy. May God bless all who serve there. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Tekiah Gedolah.
Hello, everybody. My name is Eric Simkin. I'm the Political Badass, and that's what you're watching, the Political Badass podcast. Thank you very much for taking some of your time on a Sunday afternoon to listen and hear about what's going on. So what is going on? I got to tell you, when I hear that shofar blow, as a child, some of my best memories were on the high holidays when we all gathered as a family up in Paterson, New Jersey, where my grandfather, Rabbi Harry A. Bornstein, was known as the Pied Piper of Paterson. And he was known as the Pied Piper because he would walk to his synagogue, the Hebrew Free School of Paterson, New Jersey, every Saturday morning. And all the children along the way would leave their houses and follow him, just like the Pied Piper would lead a group of people. And he was leading them to a synagogue, a place to live good. Just like in Genesis, when God said, "Let there be light." It was a good light. Good, living good. living by the word of God. That's what it's about, folks. That's what America was founded on. And when you look at the Jewish history in America, one of the first prayers that was written in America by a group, I believe somewhere around Maryland or Virginia, of Jews that had landed in America in the late 1700s, 1779, I believe. And they wrote a prayer for the nation of America and to protect the President of the United States. And it's still a prayer that we use today. It's a beautiful prayer, beautifully written. Jews have a long-standing history here in America. America was founded on what we call the Judeo-Christian values of the West, all based on the 5 books of Moses: Genesis, Leviticus, Exodus, Deuteronomy, Numbers. All those books combined into the Torah that God gave the Jewish people, the chosen people. God called for Abraham, and he said, Abraham. And Abraham answered the call, and he said, here I am. But I can tell you there's about 4,000 people that cannot hear the shofar this year, and that is the 4,000 Hezbollah terrorists that Israel was able to infiltrate their communication system and basically blew them up, and now they're scarred for life if they're not dead. It's a big deal. But here's another big deal. This week was actually an incredible week for me. Starting off on Monday night, the Camden County Republican Committee held their annual dinner. And we have a new chairwoman. Her name is Kimberly Stewart, an amazing woman, an attorney, someone that knows the rule of law. We elected her to be our leader because we needed new leadership. We needed to find guidance and a method to have our will imposed in the rule of law. And that's what we did. We got together and we voted the old chairman out, and we voted a new chairwoman in, and things are incredible. We had over 150 people there, all great, like-minded people. And no, we don't agree on everything, and that's okay. We have some political discourse within our own organization, and that's healthy. It's a healthy discourse. We don't threaten each other. We discuss things, we debate things, we have open conversations about things and what's going on. But what I'm sharing with you on the screen was something that I saw the morning after that great event. It was held at Trump International Golf Course in Pine Hill, New Jersey. And by the way, if you're looking to join forces, if you're a moderate, if you're a Democrat, if you're undecided, there is plenty of room for you in the Republican Party, I promise you. Reach out to me, ericsimkin.com, ERICSIMKIN. ericsimkin.com. Reach out to me. I will get you connected. It doesn't matter where you live. I'll do the research for you, and I'll find the local contacts that you need to get involved, because this is the most consequential election of our lifetime coming up. And I can assure you that many bad things will happen if Donald J. Trump is not elected to that presidency. So Tuesday morning, I get a text from a good friend of mine, and I'm sharing the graphic on my screen, but I'm really going to take the time, and I'm going to read this to you. This was a advertisement placed in the Jewish Community Voice. The Jewish Community Voice is a publication that's run by the Jewish Federation. And the Federation does plenty of great things. I've had a lot of interactions, actually. The person who manages that organization, her name's Sabrina Spector. Actually, after reading this, I'd like you all to reach out to Sabrina Spector, and also a guy named David Portnoy, because I sure did when I read this. I couldn't believe my eyes. Here we are witnessing things occurring in our society that really are unheard of. I mean, President Trump has had at least 2 assassination attempts on his life, really 3 if you count the one that was thwarted. But just in Florida the other day, a place very near and dear to my heart. Those of you who don't know, I moved my family to Florida in 2014, ended up moving back here to New Jersey to be closer to my immediate and surrounding family and friends. But when I was there, I lived about 1.5 miles from the location of Trump International Golf Course in West Palm Beach, Florida. It's about a 4-mile drive from Mar-a-Lago, and it's about a 4-mile drive to the golf course. And where that location is, it's literally impossible for someone to be hanging out there for 12 hours and not being noticed. So we have some serious problems in our government, the people that protect our president and other leaders. Major crisis point that we're at, and I would not be surprised if there are more attempts on President Trump's life or other people involved in the Republican Party. But part of the reason for this is the media. And whether it's a Jewish publication, whether it's a Christian publication, whether it's a non-sectarian, just normal publication, the media is stacked against conservatism. Excuse me. It's totally stacked against us, and we need to equalize this and what's going on. So I'm going to take this time and I'm going to read to you a full-page ad that appeared. And by the way, I'm an action item person. The action item here is to call the Jewish Federation. If you're Jewish or not, it's okay to have your voice heard. You do it in a nice, professional manner and just say, this is completely unacceptable. What are you going to do about it? First of all, I think some people need to be fired. Okay. But their number is 856-751-9500. I want you to call Sabrina Spector over at the Jewish Federation. I actually called Sabrina. I haven't gotten a return call yet. They were quick to return my calls, though, when Eastern Regional High School in Voorhees, New Jersey was planning to have a student walkout to save Palestine. I got involved in that hard and heavy. When I heard about that, I started making phone calls to anyone that would answer. It ended up I had to walk into Donald Norcross's office here in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and serve him with an affidavit letting him know what was going on, and to also let him know that now that he knows what's going on, if anything happens to any of those kids because they're being influenced by outside influencers in that school on Instagram, some of the content was totally shocking to me. But they didn't mind calling me back when I went up against that. And P.S. that walkout never happened. Okay, so political discourse, there's a way to do it. You have to learn how to have your voice heard. Screaming, yelling, and threatening doesn't do anything. You have to be heard. You have to sound like you know what you're talking about. Know your facts. Make the call. 856-751-9500. Let's read this together. This is a paid political ad created solely by David R. Weinraub. David R. Weinraub is a retired educator in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. He's got his doctorate. I think he did some professoring as well. Just goes to show you that our higher education programs have been totally trashed, and really they promote a lot of disgusting rhetoric. To my fellow Jewish Americans, from David R. Weinraub. Let me tell you, David R. Weinraub is one of your fellow Jewish Americans. We're not on the same page here. Jews and Trump. During the late 1920s and early 1930s in Germany, a block of primarily well-off urban Jews voted for Adolf Hitler despite his public statements disparaging German Jews and the actions of his own brown shirt gang. He doesn't mean us. He means the poor and lower class Jews, they rationalized. Then the Holocaust happened. Let's stop right there. That is not how the Holocaust happened. And this man, who has been educated highly, needs to go back to school. And I'd be happy to school you, David. Okay? I'm happy to meet up. I'll give you my number, 856-264-6884. David Weinraub, looking to talk to you. I'd be happy to sit down, buy you a cup of coffee, and explain to you how things really work here in America. Now, Donald Trump, the criminally convicted felon and civilly convicted rapist, untrue, twice impeached, indicted thief of top secret documents, as well as an instigator of a plot to overturn the 2020 election, and constantly lying, morally bankrupt leader of the far white supremacists who act in fear our government will be controlled by the Jews, blacks, and browns, the Great Replacement Theory. That is not what the Great Replacement Theory is, my friend. The Great Replacement Theory is replacing you with illegal immigrants, is once again running for president of the United States, and some Jews will vote for him. Each week, it seems, Trump insults all Jews with statements like Jews are fools for voting for Democrats. If they vote for Democrats, they should have their heads examined. I will tell you, I fully agree with that statement. Also, the Jewish governor of Pennsylvania, Trump's prejudice and intentions are right out front. He thinks he's entitled to our vote. And when he doesn't get it, Trump attacks us, thus encouraging more anti-Semitism. My friends, that is not what's encouraging more anti-Semitism. Ask any of your children who are going to college. I could tell you mine couldn't go to her finals the last 2 weeks up in Rutgers because there are so many radical lunatic Islamists out there protesting, and most of them aren't even Islamists. They're just drinking the Kool-Aid. They think it's cool to get out there and say free Palestine, river to the sea. Okay? I will tell you that from the river to the sea, the only flag you're going to see is the flag of Israel. Okay, that's what's coming. Okay, I get it. These people need to exist, but they're not good neighbors. What would you do to your neighbor if they were firing off rockets over your house? You're going to go sit down and talk to them and sing kumbaya around the campfire? I don't think that's going to work out well. Let's continue on to what this gentleman has to say. Then the Far Right Heritage Foundation published Project 2025. We spoke about Project 2025 last week. It's a think tank. It's a policy center. Okay, they raise money to get candidates elected so that they can promote conservative values. Do I agree with all the values that Project 2025 promotes? No, and neither does Donald Trump. But there's plenty of good stuff in there. Okay, you have to understand that's how it works. When you get elected president or in any office, there's all kinds of policies being thrown at you. You got to look through them. Yay or nay, good or bad, yes or no, hard, soft, no. What is it? That's how things work, my friends. Project 2025 is just a group of people that got together to write some good policies for this country. Because when you get elected, there's about 4,000 employees you bring with you day one. One of the problems we had in 2016 is we didn't shit can all those losers, and they're still in there. They're called carryovers from previous administrations. Vindeman, people like him. Total commies, Marxists, and other radical lunatics are making decisions in our government. And who else is making decisions in our government? Did you see the news yesterday that Jill Biden was actually put in charge of the first cabinet meeting that President Biden's had in 11 months? And we're not calling him President Biden. We might as well just be calling her President Harris right now. But she's absentee. She's an absentee owner. She's an absentee manager. Okay, no one's manager thing except for fake Dr. Jill Biden. Okay, that lady's an idiot, and she is running things, and she's being run by other things, people that are running things that do not have the public best interests at heart. They're radical, communist, Marxists. Okay, Harris is a Marxist. Her father was a professor of Marxist ideology and economics at Cambridge University. Okay, this is unacceptable what this man is saying. Project 2025, a plan for eliminating our freedoms. Untrue. Where do you think this will all lead? With the recent far-right dominated Supreme Court's decision that presidents have immunity for official acts, Trump can get away with almost anything if he regains the White House. In the past, Jews were purged from many countries where they had centuries-long residence. Don't say it can't happen here. You are absolutely right on that one. It is happening here. We're being pushed out. Again, go to a college. Take a look at what these people are saying. They want Jews dead. That's how it works. And there is a conspiracy theory about Jews. They used to call it the New World Order, where there was some sort of cabal with Jews running things in the media, in Hollywood, in the government. I mean, you have Chuck Schumer, you have Mayorkas, who's also Jewish. You got Anthony Blinken, he's Jewish. His parents gave so much money to George Soros, Anthony Blinken, that they renamed the Soros Foundation the Blinken Foundation. That's who's running things here. It's a major problem. Project 2025 is the least of which. He goes on to say that if you're a Jewish Republican, consider this. Donald Trump heads up the far-right MAGA party. The far-right MAGA party, make America great again. That's what MAGA stands for, folks. Okay, I'm talking to you if you don't know. I mean, most of us know. You think it sounds pretty good. No one had a problem when Ronald Reagan used to say, make America great again, did you? No, okay? Listen, here's the bottom line. What people want, what the real truth and power wants in our country, they want Clinton versus Bush, where if either person won, they can control them. Okay, we don't need to be controlled. We need a leader that takes control and dominates the forces of the United States of America throughout the world, from peace through strength. The things that got us here, these things are going to take us back centuries. So far right MAGA, that really gets my blood boiling. I tell you, it controls the traditional Republicans, many of whom have quit or cowardly stayed in the background. The MAGA party only answers to Trump and not our Constitution. Bullshit. There has been a meteoric rise in anti-Semitic incidents since Trump came on the scene, encouraging his far-right extremists. Why would any Jewish person support him? I would ask you the same for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. You know, you look at the interviews they give, they love Israel. They love the Jewish people. Kumbaya, my Lord. No, that's not how it works, folks. Okay, Kamala Harris didn't show up when Benjamin Netanyahu came to give a address to the joint session of Congress. She is the president of the Senate as the vice president of the United States. She was a no-show on some bullshit campaign thing where she was actually not on a campaign thing. She was actually going to a sorority thing where her sorority sisters were hosting. They don't even call her the most notoriable member of that sorority, and she's the vice president of the United States. It shows you even how her sorority sisters feel about her. But she ditched a joint session of Congress with President Benjamin Netanyahu addressing him. In some of our darkest days in modern history, we need the support of our government here in the United States to continue supporting Israel, and they're not. They're not. They wouldn't send us the weapons that they needed. They say, hey, it's okay to defend yourself, but how you do it's another thing. What do you mean how you do it? Okay, Israel's army, the IDF, and Shin Bet, and all these other agencies, they've taken drastic precautions to retain life for the Gazans. Okay, the Gazans could have created a homeland for themselves when we gave them billions of dollars starting back in 2005 when Hamas took over. But they didn't. They used that money that they were given by the United Nations and UNRWA to build tunnels and build bombs to kill their neighbors, because they do literally believe that from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free of the supposed occupation of the Jews. There is no occupation. Okay, God called Abraham. Abraham answered and went and saw Abraham. Abraham saw God through the burning bush, if you remember that story from our Bibles. And he said to Abraham, look beyond, and you will have this entire land, and you will be able to spread your seed, and from your seed will be many, many great nations, each seed becoming a nation, the nation of Israel, the people of Israel, the chosen people by God. And that's our land as long as that covenant is protected, the covenant of circumcision. God said to Abraham, you're to be circumcised at 99 years old on that mountain. And he did. And Abraham had a son, Isaac. And then God asked Abraham to slay his son in proof of his dedication to God. And it ended up to be a test with Abraham passed with flying colors. Okay, that's what happened. And that land is ours. The nation of Israel belongs to the Jews. And we're willing to share the land. We've been giving back land since 1948 when we received the land by the United Nations. But this is not the same United Nations, my friends. It's just not. So it goes on to say that while in office, Trump did nothing for Israel except open an embassy office in Jerusalem after a $60 million contribution, quote unquote, bribe from billionaire Sheldon Adelson. Just so you know, Sheldon Adelson, he started the Birthright campaign, where every Jew has the opportunity to go to Israel for free, paid for by a donation and an endowment that's to endure all time. That's how much money it was. Sheldon Adelson made his money in the casinos, the Sands casinos. And his wife is a serious advocate for Trump. She just spoke here in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, just a few weeks back. Maybe that's what got this guy off this rocker even further. On the contrary, he ordered the military to abandon bases in Syria, leaving Iran a clear path to attack Israel and Turkey, a direct route to attack U.S. allies, the Kurds. Okay, let me explain to you this one. Okay, Trump got us out of the Iran nuclear deal. We were funding Iran's nuclear deal with aid, foreign aid going to Iran. Trump took us out of that. He also took us out of UNRWA, which is the organization that basically hires terrorists to help out in Palestine, or Gaza and the West Bank, as it really is called. Trump got us out of that in 2017, and in 2023, Biden signed us right back up. Biden also signed us up for UNESCO, the United Nations Education and Science Foundation. They're the ones that wrote the global education standards that we're all suffering from. These are the truth and facts and realities. This man and many other of my Jewish brothers and sisters are clearly living in an alternate reality, okay, where they're being sold a bill of goods by who knows who, and they are believing it, and it's sad. Here at home, Trump continually ignored his medical experts who warned about the potentially devastating effects of COVID, a man-made disease that was promulgated and pushed upon us by the Chinese government. As a result of Trump saying COVID would go away and doing very little, there were slightly over 1.1 million American deaths attributed to COVID-19. Please note, in all of World War II, we had 291,557 service people killed. And had it not been for us dropping the bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, there would have been at least 5 million. So let's not forget that either. And when I was a kid, I remember seeing signs in the 70s when my parents were waiting with their station wagon in line to get gas, and you had to go odd even on your license plate. And I saw signs out there that said, due to Iran, what we did to Japan. And I got to tell you, we should have. And that opportunity, if it ever presents itself, that place needs to be wiped off the face of the earth. There's nothing good coming out of there. But yet we gave them billions and billions and billions of dollars to fund all the proxies like Hezbollah and Hamas and all the others, the Houthis that are attacking our military. It's insanity. The biggest threat to democracy isn't Russia, China, or any other country. It's Donald Trump and his extremists. So this guy is calling me and you an extremist. This is not protected speech under the First Amendment. I will warn you. This is to the Jewish community voice. This is not protected speech. Hate speech is not protected. This man is generating hate. The biggest threat to American Jewry is Donald Trump and his extremists who encourage anti-Semitism. This guy is delusional. Unfortunately, however, some Jews will still align themselves with the extremists and vote for the unstable and disgraceful Donald Trump, who belongs in prison and not the White House. My friends, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but when you put it out there, you got to be prepared for the backlash. And this person that wrote this really clearly is delusional. But even worse, forget about him, because my discourse isn't with David Weinraub of Cherry Hill, New Jersey. It's not. It's with the media, with the entity, with the people that made the decision to put this ad in. You can't put these ads in. I couldn't put this in the Philadelphia Inquirer, as left radical as they are. They wouldn't allow it because they would understand that it's got a potential dangerous outcome. Okay, so let's go back to some truth and reality here. Okay, so I'm going to take this off the screen. Here I am back, and let me just put something else back on the screen. You just bear with me. I just got to get this pulled up because this is amazing. This will show you what Donald Trump actually did do. Okay, this is right on DonaldJTrump.com. President Trump's historic accomplishments. Let's start at number one, and we're going to read through this together because I have a feeling that a lot of these people either can't or don't read. Number one, President Trump renewed our cherished friendship and alliance with Israel and took historic action to promote peace in the Middle East by recognizing Jerusalem as the true capital of Israel. Moved the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, as we just saw in the video. Acknowledged Israel's sovereignty over the Golan Heights. Declared that Israeli settlements in the West Bank are not inconsistent with international law. And you can see what's happening in the Biden-Harris administration, where they're declaring that it is consistent with international law. Okay, that the West Bank settlements are illegal. They're not illegal. That's our land. We are building on that land to preserve that land and its powers, because if it goes unused, you know they're going to come and try and take it. And that's the agenda. Removed from the United States the United Nations Human Rights Council due to the group's blatant anti-Israel bias. And by the way, the Harris-Biden administration, they put a guy named Hatim Barazan. He is the Jew hater of all Jew haters, hates Israel, doesn't want it to exist. Came to California in 1985 and attended college there. And his number one goal was to eliminate Israel. And Harris and Biden had him sitting on the anti-Semitism committee at the White House. That's right. Okay, the biggest Jew hater out there, the guy that plans all these protests and probably is involved in terroristic threats and terrorist actions. That's who Harris put on to the anti-Semitism board. Go figure. Brokered 4 Middle East peace deals, collectively called the Abraham Accords. Never happened before, but it basically normalized relations with other countries, economically, socially, all sorts of ways to make things normal between Israel and its former enemies. Israel and United Arab Emirates agreed to normalize relations in August of 13th of 2020, the first Arab country to make peace with Israel in over 25 years. That's right, Donald J. Trump did that too. Saudi Arabia They began allowing commercial flights to Israel and used its airspace for the first time in over 70 years. And by the way, when we went and bombed Syria recently, we went right through their airspace, and that was great. Israel and Bahrain normalized their relations. Israel and Sudan agreed to normalize their relations. Israel and Morocco, full diplomatic relations. Recognized Moroccan sovereignty over West Sahara. Brokered economic normalization between Serbia and Kosovo, which included Serbia and Kosovo agreeing to open embassies in Jerusalem, first ever. First American president to address an assembly of leaders from more than 50 Muslim nations and reach an agreement to fight terrorism in all of its forms. Established an Etidal Center to combat terrorism in the Middle East in conjunction with the Saudi Arabian government. Announced the Vision for Peace political plan, a two-state solution that resolves the risk of Palestinian statehood to Israel's security, and the first time Israel has agreed to a map and a Palestinian state. Brokered a deal with Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Egypt to restore full diplomatic relations with Qatar. Cut more than $200 million in aid to Palestinians. They were using that money for terrorists and building bombs. Issued an executive order on combating anti-Semitism. Advanced missile defense, including assisting Israel with its Iron Dome, which saves countless numbers of lives. And it's another promise that Donald J. Trump has made to Americans, and we're going to build an Iron Dome here, all with goods and products and services made right here in America. It's a beautiful thing. And then what did Trump do as far as Iran goes? Restricted travel to the United States from terrorism-infected regions of the world, included Iran. Withdrew from the horrible one-sided Iran nuclear deal and imposed crippling sanctions on the Iranian regime. Of course, Harris and Biden, they restored all those sanctions and gave billions, at least 10 billion, and possibly even more, like 130 billion if you count all the oil that was allowed to be purchased from Iran. Conducted vigorous enforcement on all sanctions to bring Iran's oil exports to zero and deny the regime its principal source of revenue. It's a huge thing. You cut it off the head of the snake by cutting off the food it eats on, and that's money. Issued over 3,500 sanctions against individuals or entities, including those related to North Korea, Iran, and ISIS. ISIS he defeated in 4 months, by the way. Countered strategic threats, including Iran's attempt to obtain U.S. technology and commodities. Issued an Iran National Terrorism Advisory System bulletin to protect the United States from Iranian aggression. Built up U.S. energy while choking off Iranian oil. And here's the problem. We're not using any of our energy. We're using some of it now because Harris and Biden finally realized that we got it all under our feet and we're importing it from other countries. We better do something because we cannot afford to pay the trade deficit bills. That's the problem. U.S. energy production kept the price of oil low. Secured our nation's immigration system against criminals and terrorists. Stopped the terrorists from coming in. I mean, these things just go on and on and on and on. I could rebut this, rebuke it, however you want to call it, all day. Here's the problem. It should never even have been in the newspaper. Let's face it. It's ridiculous. 856-751-9500. That's who you're going to call and give them a piece of your mind. You cannot allow a media outlet, no matter if it's Jewish related or not, to put out this kind of garbage. It's divisive, it's dangerous, and it might influence someone's vote. And that's even more scary. Okay, I don't know what people are watching, where this guy's getting his information. I don't know if he's watching CNN. I don't even think CNN's that bad to be saying that stuff at this point. They're even coming around to this, and they're starting to recognize that things are not good on the Democrat side of the football. And that means that we will make room for you in the Republican Party. Come join us today. Come to an event. I mean, Kamala Harris tells you to go check out a Trump rally. I think you really should. I mean, I haven't been to enough of them, and I've watched hundreds of them on television. You see an actual cross-section of America at every one of these events. At the event that I was at the other night, I met people from all sorts of diverse walks of life. That's America. We have always known that America is the great melting pot. It's nothing new, but the celebration of diversity, okay, is not necessarily the answer. What we need to be doing is more like celebrating our commonality. What do we have in common? Well, for starters, we're all sitting here on the same island, aren't we? by the rule of law in America, the United States of America. That's right. And we follow the rule of law that's based upon the Judeo-Christian values of the West. And if you take a look at Deuteronomy, okay, Deuteronomy's got 613 laws. Most of them we live by here today. That's why Jews have been able to assimilate into America so well. Some of the people that are having problems assimilating just don't believe in these viewpoints because they believe in either a different God, no God, or whichever. But the bottom line is America's been established as a Judeo-Christian valued state, a nation. And that's what we follow. And if you're coming here to America with all these illegal immigrants that are coming in here, how many of them have those same views? Not many. I can assure you, look what's going on. Just from a moral turpitude standpoint. I mean, you're eating cats. Okay, they're barbecuing cats. Oh, that was fake news, fake news. They're fact-checking Trump at this debate that we had last week, which was a farce. It was a 3-on-1 debate. Granted, I will tell you, I thought that Kamala Harris was much more well prepared for that than I thought humanly possible, given her ineptitude with everything else that she does. So, truthfully, I'm not going to sit here and call out every single American as to how you could possibly vote for Harris, but just ask yourself. I don't think I need to ask you. Where's your list of things that Harris or anybody else on the Democrat side has done for anything to do with Israel, for the Jews, for the blacks, for the Latins, for the Hispanics, for anybody? Where's the list of ideas? Where's the list of accomplishments? There are no list of accomplishments. We're all hurting. We're spending more money to get the same amount of things as we did before, and it's harder to make it, and they're taking more of it in taxes because there's only one way to pay for all these programs that they're talking about, and that's to take it from me and you and redistribute it to the new people that just showed up here. What about the people that have already been here struggling in these urban communities? They're all being run by Democrats. Look what's happening even in Springfield, Ohio. 20,000 people, whatever the number is. You add 20,000 people to 60 or 50,000. There's no way that the infrastructure can support that. There's just no way. And that's what's being done. And these people are hurting. Is my family hurting? Yeah, I'm dealing with all sorts of things. We got a mental health crisis going on right now because it's all anyone talks about. Every family's hurting. The only way to change it is to elect new leaders. And what are you going to do? Start taking action. No, we don't just need your vote. Of course you're going to vote for Trump. How could you possibly consider voting elsewhere? Okay, what are you going to do? Not vote because you're pissed off about some mean tweets? You don't like his hair? You don't like the tan guy? You watched him when he was on The Apprentice, didn't have a problem. But now that he's running for president again, after fixing the economy, providing the best economy, and now we're finding all sorts of faults and problems. Listen, can I be truthful with you? Do I agree with everything Donald J. Trump says? Absolutely not. I couldn't think of one human being where I could. Okay, and that's not what's being asked, requested, or required for your vote. Your vote is, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? I mean, maybe if you're an illegal immigrant, you are. Okay, and how many votes is that? I don't know, close to 20 million? Who knows? Right? So that's our problem. The people that are here legally, the people here that have built this country and family and generations past have helped build this country on our backs. The working class, the people of America, the normal people, not the elite class. Just because you went to a college and paid a little bit extra to get educated doesn't mean you are any better or any worse than the next person next to you. And that's what you have to remember. You're not an elitist. You're a nobody. Okay? You're just like me. I'm just like you. We're all just like each other. God made you. God made me. Therefore, we all love each other. It's pretty simple. It doesn't have to really go beyond that. It's very simple. That's how you get along with people. Okay, you look through their faults, you tolerate things from people, and if you can't tolerate them, guess what? It's your choice. You don't have to ever talk to them or see them again. That's your discourse with other members of your population. But that's what this guy did in the newspaper. He went after the other members of the population. I'm not saying to do that at all. You got to go after the elected officials, and you have to make sure that we elect the best possible officials we can, because that, in fact, is why we're here. Okay, what has Biden or Harris done for Israel? I mean, all Harris said is that it's okay for Israel to defend itself, but they have to watch how they do it. There hasn't been a more humane war. This is a war. Okay, there was a two-state solution and there was peace on October 7th. Correct? Absolutely. Our hostages that are there, I pray for them every single day. And I hope that you all do too. Okay, but I'm not very confident that those hostages are still alive. I mean, I know that I'm sure that there's intelligence that we're not privy to. Okay, and we have to have trust in that. But how do you really trust what's going on in America? You're told a bunch of lies, and the lies are coming from the left. The anti-Semitism comes from the left. The higher taxes come from the left. The energy issues and food issues and all the other issues with healthcare and all these things, they come from the left. Okay, they're not coming from the right. And guess what? I grew up in a family probably that voted Democrat most of their life because that's just how things were. Okay, but that's not how it is now. You have to be able to open your eyes, take a look at the truth and facts of the reality that you're witnessing. And if you're not getting an unbiased view from just one news network, maybe you need to expand your knowledge base. I mean, I will speak for the Jewish community that in general, there's a lot of highly educated people, which may in fact be part of the problem because you've been drinking highly educated, higher education Kool-Aid for a long time, thinking that that makes you better or smarter. It doesn't. It might make you better or smarter at the craft that you're trying to do for a living, but it doesn't make you have more common sense just because you went and read a few more books than the rest of us. Okay, why don't you go back to this book right here? That's the book that you should be reading. Okay, you don't need to be reading Social Justice by Ibrahim Kendi or CRT by Kimberly Crenshaw. Okay, those aren't the books that are going to teach you how life works. That's going to teach you how to be hateful and how to hate your neighbor. Let's find some ways that we can come in common. We all live under one flag. Okay, when I walked into Voorhees Township High School there, Eastern Regional, that principal who's no longer there, he says, well, I fly a flag for every country that any student came from. Well, that's great, but this isn't the United Nations. And P.S., the United Nations are the United Nations against America. I mean, what's going to make you wake up? The United Nations is a commie organization. It may have started out good in 1947. Okay, and yeah, they created Israel. That's great. Okay, but times change, and the times that we're in call for different opinions and different actions. Again, going back to action. Okay, if you're pissed off, if you're Jewish or not Jewish, and you're pissed off that that guy wrote an ad and a Jewish Community Voice put an ad in a full-page ad in a newspaper that divides us up just like the commies want. 856-751-9500. That's who you call. You call them up and you tell them you're not happy about it and ask them what they're going to do about it and who's getting fired. That's what I'm doing. Okay, David Portnoy, I told you on the phone, you should be fired for not having even a better answer by the time I did get around to calling you the next day. Okay, you already told me you're taking heat, okay, from all the other people calling. It's time to do something. It's time to act. We can't have this going on. November 4th is coming. What are you going to do to get 10 voters out there? That's my question. What's a political badass? It's not some tough guy. I'm no tough guy. I'm no tough guy. I'm a truth teller, and I'm here to create awareness. Why am I doing this? Because the guy that I watched that gave me all my information, he's sitting in prison right now, Stephen K. Bannon. Okay, Stephen Bannon, he was an advisor to President Trump and still is. And he denied it's a January 6th subpoena. And he taught me a lot, but they locked him up for denying that subpoena and not showing up for that witch hunt trial. And when he did that, they put him in prison July 1st till October 31st. That's right before the election for 4 months. And I realized, hey, they're shutting him up. I can't have that. I'm going to start running my mouth. And I have no problem running my mouth. And I'm not going to get in trouble, and neither are you, because when you speak truth and facts, you and me, we're not going to go to jail. He had a big following, so they put him away. But that's the exact reason why you need to take action. I would love for you to check out Turning Point Action. They've got an app in there that you can sit there and pull up your 15 closest neighbors and make a phone call to them based on their party affiliation and who's got a mail-in ballot. There can be no excuse for you not to vote this year. You understand? Every single vote counts because Democrats, whether you like to hear it or not, I'm not saying the voters all cheat, but they have ways of manipulating the vote, whether it's through electronic ballots, whether it's through ballot harvesting, early voting, or whichever. But those things exist. And as a Republican and as a conservative as they come, I don't like the idea. I like the idea of voting on election day with a paper ballot that's hand counted, just like the way it was all the way up pretty much until 2019 and 20. okay, with COVID and all these restrictions and draconian lockdowns that are insane. So what I'm asking you to do is order a mail-in ballot just in case. Go to early vote. If you live in New Jersey, for 2 weeks before the election, from Monday through Sunday, you can go vote early at a regular voting machine. You get your ballot the same way you do. You have to bank your vote. That's what Democrats do. They've got a whole machine that's all about getting people elected. We need to have a machine that gets Republicans elected. It's that simple. Turning point action. The Republican Jewish Coalition, if you want to get involved and turn the Jewish vote around and get some activity going, contact the Republican Jewish Coalition. They have an app. You sit there, you go on your computer or your phone, and you're going to make phone calls to Jewish voters, and you're going to just talk to them about it. They have a script. It's very easy. And you don't even have to call people in New Jersey. They really want you calling people in Pennsylvania and other swing states. That's really where it's most important right now. You will notice that you're not seeing a lot of Trump ads in New Jersey. You're not seeing a lot of Trump activity. It's because really New Jersey, you don't feel it's as relevant as other states. I personally think it is relevant. No matter where I live, I'm going to fight the fight. You know that. But you can get involved and make some phone calls in other states, Pennsylvania. I mean, let's go back to Pennsylvania for a second. I mean, Harris could have easily chosen the governor of Pennsylvania, who happens to be a pretty religious Jew. She didn't. They said it had nothing to do with being Jewish, but you know it did, because half their party would freak out if they had a Jew on the ticket. And you know that's the truth. And if you don't know, you need to find out. Okay? You need to get involved. Where are you getting your news from? Are you watching just one news channel? I mean, I'm not even talking if you're a Republican. If you're a Republican, you're only watching Fox, you're getting a very diluted, measured truth. Okay? You need to take a look at Newsmax. You need to go online, Gateway Pundit, Citizens Free Press. So again, Newsmax, Citizens Free Press online. If you want to know about Israel, the best place that I found to get news on Israel is Times of Israel. You'll find that Israeli media is very similar to American media. Unfortunately, it's also been infiltrated by a lot of commies and Marxists. But some of their articles on the political spectrum are left-leaning, but you can get truth and facts about what's really going on the ground in Israel. I mean, I pay attention to that at least 5 times a day. Times of Israel, Citizens Free Press, Gateway Pundit is a great source of information, because when you read some of these other articles, they're all just softened up and watered down so that they can get to the general public without causing problems. But if you really want to know what's going on, you got to find the news sources. And if you need a reminder of what those news sources are, you're going to go to my website, ericsimkin.com. This has nothing to do with self-promotion. I could care less about making or money or monetizing this podcast in any kind of way. I don't care. I want to get the word out. I know what my mission and what my task and purpose is, and that's to get Donald J. Trump elected to the White House. That's my task and purpose, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. It's just that simple. Turning Point Action, again, great app. You can pull up the 15 closest people that live near you and get out the vote. So you either want to get a mail-in ballot, or you want to vote early. Okay, do not wait till election day to go vote. Okay, because there's too many things that could happen. You know, your kid could be sick, your car could break down. You could look at the polls and see that the numbers aren't looking good, so you decide your vote won't really count. I promise you, your vote will be counted in New Jersey. At the last Republican committee event that we had before this week was our monthly meeting, which we're having every single month with 150 people showing up. It's a beautiful thing. Come join the Republican Party. Kimberly Stewart, look her up. Kimberly Stewart, she's our chairwoman. Look up any town that you're in and find the local Republican club. If you're not sure where to go, you can contact me, ericsimkin.com, and I'll lead you in the right direction. Now is the time to get involved, okay? Break out your Constitution. Take a look at it. If you don't have one of these, Google it, get one. Freedom Factor sends them out in bulk if you want to buy some if you're a candidate. But this has the Constitution. It has the Declaration of Independence. And go talk to some of your neighbors. Take your Bible and take your Constitution and get out there. That's what Royce White's doing. Royce White's on Real America Voice. He's running for Senate in Minnesota, same state where Tim Walz is from. And he's a former NBA player, and he says it's time to break out your Constitution and your Bibles and go door to door, because all the answers are right in these 2 books right here, and they're very similarly aligned. Like I said, If you look at Deuteronomy, and one of my favorites in Deuteronomy, my favorite passages is Deuteronomy 6:7, and thou shalt teach them diligently to thy children. It's actually the epitaph on my grandfather's tombstone. As I mentioned, he was a rabbi in Patterson, New Jersey. Thou shalt teach them diligently to thy children. What is them? Them is the word of God. And the people that are supposed to be doing that is parents, okay, of children. Not schools of children, okay, not teachers, parents, okay? It's a big deal. What's being taught in your kid's school is totally the opposite of the things I'm talking about. They're actually trying to put spirituality back into education right now. They are. There's a huge consortium doing it, except one thing: without God. Who are you praying to? Who are you being spiritual with if there's no God involved? The devil? Demons? Who? It's not going to work out well, my friends. They're teaching your kids to be atheists and get away from these rules and laws. From the rules and laws, the 613 of them in Deuteronomy. Justice, justice, thou shalt pursue. Justice, justice, thou shalt pursue. Be good to the nation of Israel. Okay, God said. And you'll be rewarded. And if you're bad to Israel, you will be smoted. You will be burned. You will die. And that's what's happening in Israel these days. All the forces that be want to eliminate Israel. And the United States has been handcuffing Israel on their responses for a very long time, decades long. The beepers that we sent over there, the 3,000 beepers, total genius. All I have to say to Hezbollah is, it's like the old Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I don't think you can hear me now. You really can't. And there's more where that came from. Okay, now you can easily identify who are the terrorists. They've got scars, battle scars. Not a bad idea for punishment in the United States for sexual predators either, if you ask me. But you have the ICC, the International Criminal Court. They've got an arrest warrant out for Netanyahu. The WHO, the World Health Organization, they're trying to control our health sovereignty, control over our own bodies by making decisions on a global basis what they're going to do with the next pandemic that happens. Maybe it's going to be global warming or climate change emergencies that are going to start happening. Who knows? But that's only if Harris takes the seat at the White House. We can't have that happen, folks. Let's stay focused here on what the task and purpose is. That's to get Donald J. Trump elected to the White House. You got the WEF, World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab. He's retired now, I guess, but doesn't matter. He's a sinister. He says you would own nothing and you would be happy. Owning nothing. What do they mean by that? That's a communist thing. If you take away property from people, there'll be no reason to have issues with each other, so they can control a whole lot of people. A whole lot more people with a whole lot less influence if they don't have property. So they're looking to take your property. That's why rentals are so big. That's why the interest rates are up. Even Harris said in an interview this week that the American dream just seems a little further out of reach these days. Why is that? Whose policies have been in place for the last 3.5 years? Hers. Under Trump's policies, nobody was complaining about the economy. Yeah, we got crushed with a pandemic. The China virus, no one likes saying it, but that's where it came from. You got the United Nations. Totally off track. We have to cut the funding to the United Nations and to everything associated with it. The United Nations, they want to lock Netanyahu up. They want to do other things to Israel. They actually said this week, I saw, that in 1 year, there will not be a Jew in Eastern Jerusalem. Just so you know, if you're not familiar with geography of Israel, in Eastern Jerusalem, it's where the Western Wall is. It's the beginning of really three religions. You have the Via Dolorosa right there. That's the 12 Stations of the Cross. I've been on the 12 Stations of the Cross. There's more Christians and Catholics that go to Jerusalem, just as many as Jews. And then you have the Muslim Dome of the Rock, which is really the Temple Mount. And the Temple Mount's a big deal because as Christians know, and Jews know, that when that third temple is built, that's going to bring on the end of days, Revelation. And that's really what we're looking at, is the potential of Revelation. We got nuclear war escalations going on all over the world. You got China getting ready to go into Taiwan. You have these Houthis and the Iran-backed proxies that are causing all sorts of chaos. And chaos is something that governments really like because it gives them an opportunity to come and solve the chaos. But guess what? You can't cause it and cure it at the same time, and they're causing it. The Democrat Party's causing it. That's who's causing it. That's who's in control. They run the Senate. They got the presidency. I mean, I don't know who's running the presidency, but somebody is, and it's not a Republican right now, and that is why we're having the problems. So I'm asking you, friends, family, and neighbors, open your minds. I'm talking to you. If you're a Republican, you're voting for Trump, thank you. I mean, it's obviously the common sense approach. Don't just vote, get 10 others to vote. That's what a political badass is. Measure your badassness by how many people you get out to vote. Okay? We don't measure whiteness here. That's another thing they do. If you watch a movie, it's called Am I Racist with Matt Walsh, the same guy that did the Am I Woman movie. Pretty sharp guy. And there's an exercise where these radicals say, all right, we're going to go like this in the morning and we're going to get rid of our whiteness. No, we're not getting rid of anything. Okay? We're joining together. We're finding our commonality. We're celebrating our commonality. We're not celebrating diversity anymore. We're working together to make change happen. Harris talks about make change happen, but she's the one that caused the problem. So what's she going to change? She's going to make it worse. Okay? Open up your eyes, open up your ears, pay attention. Turning Point Action, Republican Jewish Coalition to make the calls. And then I want you to call it, my last request, 856-751-9500. That's the Jewish Federation of South Jersey. They're the ones that are responsible for putting out this publication. You need to let them know it's unacceptable, and they need to do some things immediately to correct the path that might have been caused by this advertisement that was placed in their paper. With that, I would like to say that I'm praying for you, I'm praying for my own family, and I'm saying God bless you, God bless your family, and God bless the United States of America. And God, please watch out for Donald J. Trump. After 2 attempts on his life, we need him even more. The same reason why they're looking to take him out, or the same reason why we need to elect him. And speaking of Turning Point Action, I'd like to leave the show today by playing a clip of Charlie Kirk. He's the founder of Turning Point Action. He's a very spiritual young person, and he's got a following and built up a huge organization that's doing everything they can to right the wrongs that have been done on this political regime. So I wish you a great week. I hope you have a very fulfilling week. I know I'm done. I'm going to go at it Monday. Tomorrow I'm going to get some rest tonight. I'm going to come out fighting tomorrow for all of us. Thank you again, and God bless America.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Eric Simkin. Thank you for tuning in to the Political Badass Podcast. This promotional video is all about what's going on and what we're seeing going on in America. We've got all sorts of stuff going on, a lot of shiny new objects. I get it.
What is your owner's manual, instruction manual for life? You have to have some instruction manual that you reference. Am I acting correctly? Am I marrying correctly? Am I living life well? You see, it's the Word of God. It is the Bible. It is the totality. It answers every question. Why are we here? In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Boom! Genesis 1:26 and 1:27. And God made us in His image. We are image bearers of the divine. So there's this phrase I'm just going to keep on repeating. Here I am. The first time it appears in the Bible, the first time it appears in the Scriptures is one of the best known stories. The story of Abraham and Isaac. Abram is called by God in Genesis 12. We have no idea why Abram was chosen. And literally God says, leave your father's home and go on an adventure. And he was willing. He wasn't necessarily courageous, but he was the most important thing for a believer. It says in Genesis 22, and it's one of the least understood stories in the Bible, where, some people say, did God want Abraham to kill his son? It says right there in Genesis 22 that God was testing Abraham. But the angel of the Lord, the messenger of the Lord, called to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And how does Abraham respond? Here I am. Send me. Tell me, God, what to do. And you might say, yeah, I'm ready. Abraham, all of a sudden, they said, okay, you got to sacrifice your son. God says, do you really follow me? Do you really follow me? And Abraham says, here I am. Now, Abraham passed that test, and that is the reason eventually that we know that God, Abraham, means father of nations, that the covenant was started. Abraham was tested. Many of you are going through a test right now. Every single one of us goes through times of tests and trials. And you say, God, use me. What do you want from me during this trial? The second of which is Jacob, which ends up to be Israel. Very simple. The angel of God said to him in a dream, Jacob, and he said, here I am. And from that point forward, the nation of Israel was born. The willingness of Jacob turned into the nation of Israel to go build something. Then Samuel. This one applies to a lot of you. I love this one. Samuel, now a boy, was ministering to the Lord in the presence of Eli. He was a child. He was young. And the Lord said, Samuel. Samuel arose and went down. And he says, here I am, for you called me. And Samuel was then called to amazing and great things. How about Isaiah? Isaiah, of course, one of the major prophets. Isaiah literally means God is my redeemer. I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send and who will go for us? And then he said, here I am, send me. And the here I am is when legendary things happen in the Bible.
Last year, Turning Point USA hosted the Young Jewish Leadership Summit, during which you said, so a Christian that's not pro-Israel, I doubt they actually love their Bible. And I will stand by that statement. If you are a Christian that doesn't love Israel, then you take your Bible way, way, way too much for granted. Still stand by your statement like you said you would.
No, I definitely stand by the statement. So I'm not an apologist for the Israeli government, but let me ask you, what religion was Jesus? What did he believe?
Yeah, well, obviously he was Jew, but modern day Judaism is... Hold on,
time out. No. Where was Jesus born?
Well, somebody say he was the first Christian.
Well, hold on, time out. Well, where was Jesus born?
Why does that matter?
Well, do you know?
Why does that matter?
Okay, yeah, you're obviously not a Christian. You don't know where Jesus was born. He's born in Bethlehem. Okay.
In Judea.
And he was raised in Nazareth, and he walked on the water in Capernaum. What country are those places in right now?
What does it matter?
It does matter. You know why? Because when I went to Israel, I came in contact with a living God that walked on water and rose Lazarus from the dead. When I went to Israel, I saw the Bible come to life. When I went to Israel, I saw Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah in the Hall of the Patriarchs. When I went to Israel, what I read as Bible stories popped open. And I said, this is the Word of God. This is real. These are not fairy tales or fables or things that we tell our kids. When I went to Israel, I was able to cry where Jesus cried, where he was betrayed by Judas and arrested, where he rose from the dead and gives us eternal life. I am not an apologist for Israel, but I reject wholeheartedly this narrative. Christians who turn their back on Israel, it says in Genesis and Romans and 1 Thessalonians, Paul said, you will bless the Jews. If you bless Israel, you will be blessed. If you scorn Israel, you will be scorned. The Israeli government, plenty of suspicious things going on. How do we know the Bible is true? Every day, there are archaeological discoveries that confirm the truths of the Bible in 1 Samuel, in 1 Kings, in 1 Chronicles. There is a diabolical, satanic agenda every single day to try and delegitimize the Scriptures. And I will defend the Holy Land, the place that let me see where my Lord and Savior lived. And I will not apologize for that. Thank you very much. Next question. Thank you.
Any number of false promises to deliver. They can't deliver. Why can't they deliver? Let's talk about why they cannot deliver, why it's not possible to deliver. And we're going to talk about Tim Walz here in a second, but I just want to describe something to you. Never forget, you are not a fascist. You are not a nativist. You are not a xenophobe. When they call you that, you know you've won. When they call you that, you turn it around on them with history. You explain to them exactly who the Nazis were in Germany. Who were the Nazis? Who was the class of people that became the ruling political party there in Nazi Germany? It was your working class that unionized, became the bourgeoisie. They stole political power, and then they instituted a police state to maintain that power. That's who the Nazis were. Does it sound familiar? Sounds exactly like your modern day liberals, doesn't it? The working class that unionized, became the bourgeoisie, they stole political power, and then they used a police state to secure that political power. And we know what followed after that. Those were the Nazis. These liberals, they're the fascists. They want a merger of the corporation and the government. They want the Googles to become the government. They want the authority to tell you if you're hesitant about a vaccine, or if you question elections, that you lose your freedom, you lose your business, you lose your assets. These people are patently fascists. But they just tell you, don't believe your lying eyes. And that's who Governor Tim Walz is. Let's get to Governor Tim Walz here, huh?